Welcome back to our channel. Many English learners study English every day, but they do not speak English every day. And that is one of the biggest reasons their progress feels slow. The truth is simple. If you want to become a confident English speaker, you must make speaking a daily habit. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need a huge vocabulary. You simply need regular practice. In today's video, you will learn practical ways to speak English every day, build confidence, improve fluency, and make English a natural part of your life. So stay with me until the end, because these simple habits can completely transform your English speaking skills. Now let's begin. Lesson 1. Make English a daily habit. If you want to speak English fluently, there is one thing that matters more than almost anything else: consistency. Many learners believe fluency comes from studying for long hours. They think they need expensive courses. They think they need perfect grammar. They think they need special talent. But the truth is much simpler. Fluency is built through daily habits. It is built through small actions repeated again and again over time. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not brush your teeth once a month for 10 hours. You do it every day. A few minutes each day creates results. English works the same way. A little practice every day is far more powerful than a huge amount of practice once in a while. Many learners study English only when they feel motivated. When they feel excited, they practice. When they feel tired, they stop. The problem is that motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired. Some days you do not. If your learning depends entirely on motivation, your progress will always be inconsistent. That is why habits are so important. Habits continue even when motivation disappears. When English becomes part of your routine, you no longer need to convince yourself to practice. You simply do it. Just like brushing your teeth. Just like eating breakfast. Just like any other daily habit. Now imagine two learners. The first learner studies English for 5 hours on Sunday and then does nothing for the rest of the week. The second learner practices English for 30 minutes every day. After several months, who is likely to make more progress? Usually the second learner. Why? Because language grows through regular exposure. The brain learns best when it interacts with English consistently. Daily contact keeps the language active in your mind. Another important reason to make English a habit is confidence. Many learners feel nervous because they do not use English often enough. They study English, but they rarely interact with it. As a result, English feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar things often feel uncomfortable. Daily practice changes that. The more often you use English, the more normal it becomes. Words become familiar. Sentences become familiar. Speaking becomes familiar. And familiarity creates confidence. Think about learning to drive a car. The first time feels difficult. You have to think about everything. But after enough practice, driving becomes natural. English follows the same process. Daily use makes the language feel natural. Another benefit of daily habits is that they reduce pressure. Many learners believe every study session must be perfect. They think they need hours of free time. They think they need ideal conditions. This mindset often leads to procrastination. A better approach is simple. Focus on showing up every day. Even 10 minutes matters. Even 15 minutes matters. Small daily efforts create powerful long-term results. Another mistake many learners make is separating English from their lives. They think English only exists during study time. They open a textbook, Study for a while. Then forget about English until the next lesson. A much better approach is making English part of your daily routine. Listen to English while walking. Read something in English. Think in English. Speak in English. Bring English into your everyday life. The more connected English becomes to your daily activities, the easier it becomes to maintain the habit. Now let's talk about identity. This is one of the most powerful ideas in learning. Instead of saying, I am trying to learn English, start saying, I am an English learner who practices every day. This small shift matters. Why? Because habits become stronger when they are connected to identity. When practicing English becomes part of who you are, consistency becomes easier. You stop seeing practice as something you have to do. You begin seeing it as something you naturally do. Another important truth is that fluency is not created by one big breakthrough. Many learners are waiting for a magical moment, a moment when everything suddenly becomes easy. Real progress usually happens differently. It happens slowly. A few new words today, a little more confidence tomorrow, a slightly smoother conversation next week. These small improvements may seem insignificant, but they accumulate day after day, week after week, month after month. Eventually, the progress becomes impossible to ignore. This is the power of daily habits. Small actions repeated consistently create extraordinary results. Imagine speaking English every day for an entire year. Not perfectly, not for hours, just consistently. Think about how much stronger your vocabulary would become. Think about how much easier conversations would feel. Think about how much confidence you would gain. The difference would be enormous. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because of consistency. Remember, you do not need to practice perfectly. You do not need to practice for hours. You simply need to practice regularly. Make English part of your daily routine. Make it part of your lifestyle. Make it part of who you are. Because fluency is not built in a single day. It is built day by day. And every day you practice is one step closer to becoming the confident English speaker you want to be. That is why the first and most important lesson is simple. Make English a daily habit. Because habits create consistency. Consistency creates improvement. And improvement creates fluency. Lesson 2. Speak to yourself in English. One of the biggest excuses English learners make is this: I don't have anyone to practice with. Many people believe they cannot improve their speaking unless they have a partner, a teacher, or a native speaker available every day. Because of this belief, they spend weeks, months, or even years waiting for the perfect opportunity to practice. The truth is that one of the most powerful speaking partners is always with you: yourself. Speaking to yourself in English may sound simple, but it is one of the most effective ways to improve fluency, confidence, and speaking ability. And the best part is that you can do it anytime and anywhere. You do not need an appointment. You do not need a classroom. You do not need permission from anyone. You can start immediately. Think about how athletes train. They do not wait until competition day to practice. They train regularly. They repeat movements. They build skills through repetition. Self-talk works in a similar way. It gives your brain regular speaking practice. The more you practice, the stronger your speaking skills become. Many learners understand English when they hear it. They understand English when they read it. But when it is time to speak, they struggle. Why? Because understanding and speaking are different skills. Speaking requires active use of the language, and self-talk provides exactly that. It forces you to create sentences. It forces you to organize thoughts. It forces you to use English actively rather than passively. This is why it is so valuable. Now let's talk about how to do it. The easiest way is to start with your daily activities. When you wake up, talk about your plans. For example, today I need to finish some work. I want to practice English. I will go for a walk later. These sentences are simple. But simplicity is not a problem. Simple practice creates strong foundations. Many learners make the mistake of trying to sound advanced immediately. They use difficult words, complicated sentences, complex ideas. Then they become frustrated when speaking feels difficult. Start simple. Fluency grows from simple language used consistently. Another great exercise is describing what you are doing. Imagine you are making breakfast. You can say, I am making tea. I need some water. The food smells good. I am getting ready for the day. You are turning ordinary moments into English practice. This is powerful because it connects English with real life. The more often you do this, the more naturally English begins appearing in your mind. Another benefit of self-talk is that it helps you think in English. Many learners translate everything. They think in their native language first. Then they translate into English. This process slows conversations down. Self-talk helps break this habit. The more you speak to yourself in English, the more comfortable your brain becomes with direct English thinking. Over time, translation becomes less necessary, and speaking becomes faster. Confidence also grows through self-talk. Many learners feel nervous when speaking with other people. They worry about mistakes. They worry about judgment. They worry about embarrassment. When you speak to yourself, that pressure disappears. There is no audience, no criticism, no fear of looking foolish. This creates a safe environment for practice, and safe practice builds confidence. The more comfortable you become speaking alone, the easier it becomes to speak with others. Another powerful method is asking yourself questions. For example, what was the best part of my day? What are my goals? What do I want to learn this week? Then answer those questions in English. This exercise simulates real conversations. It trains both speaking and thinking skills at the same time. And because you are creating your own questions, you can practice whenever you want. Now let's discuss mistakes. Many learners worry about making mistakes during self-talk. But remember, the goal is practice, not perfection. If you make a mistake, keep going. The important thing is using English. Every sentence strengthens your ability. Every minute of practice helps. Think about learning to play an instrument. You do not stop practicing every time you hit the wrong note. You continue. English should be treated the same way. Another important truth is that self-talk improves speaking speed. Many learners know words but cannot access them quickly. They spend too much time searching for vocabulary. Self-talk helps solve this problem. The more often you use words and phrases, the easier they become to recall. Over time, speaking becomes smoother and more automatic. Imagine two learners. The first learner waits for opportunities to practice. The second learner practices through self-talk every day. After several months, who is likely to feel more comfortable speaking? Usually the second learner, because they have spent much more time actively using English, and language improves through use. Not through waiting, not through wishing, but through action. Remember, you do not need a perfect speaking partner. You do not need perfect conditions. You already have everything you need to start. Your thoughts, your voice, your willingness to practice. Speak to yourself in English every day. Talk about your plans. Talk about your experiences. Talk about your goals. Ask questions. Give answers. Describe your world. Because every conversation you have with yourself is helping you become a stronger English speaker. And the more you speak to yourself in English, the more natural speaking English with other people will become. That is why self-talk is one of the most powerful habits any English learner can develop. Lesson 3. Describe your daily life in English. One of the easiest and most effective ways to speak English every day is to talk about your daily life. Many learners believe they need interesting topics, advanced vocabulary, or long conversations to improve their speaking. Because of this, they often make speaking more difficult than it needs to be. The truth is that your daily life already provides endless opportunities for English practice. You wake up, you eat, you work, you study, you travel, you exercise, you relax. Every one of these activities can become a speaking lesson. And because these situations happen every day, you never run out of things to talk about. This is what makes this method so powerful. Let's start with the morning. When you wake up, describe your day in English. You can say, I woke up at 7 o'clock. I slept well. I feel a little tired today. I need to finish some work. These sentences may seem simple, but simple practice creates fluency. Many learners spend too much time searching for difficult words while ignoring the power of basic communication. Remember, fluent speakers did not start with advanced English. They started with simple English used consistently. Another great habit is describing what you are doing throughout the day. For example, while making breakfast, you can say, I am making tea. I am preparing breakfast. I need to leave soon. While walking outside, you can say, the weather is nice. There are many people here. I can see several cars. These small observations become speaking practice. And because they are connected to real life, they are easy to remember. Another reason this method works so well is that it helps you think in English. Many learners translate every thought. They think in their native language first and then translate into English. This slows communication. When you describe your daily life in English, your brain begins creating direct connections between experiences and English words. Over time, translation becomes less necessary, and speaking becomes more natural. Think about a person learning to drive. At first, every action requires attention. But after enough practice, many actions become automatic. English works the same way. The more often you describe your life in English, the more natural English becomes. Another powerful exercise is talking about your past experiences. At the end of the day, spend a few minutes reviewing what happened. For example, today was very productive. I completed my work. I talked to a friend. I learned something new. This simple activity improves speaking while also helping you practice past tense sentences. Without realizing it, you are strengthening your grammar, vocabulary, and fluency at the same time. You can also talk about future plans. For example, tomorrow I will study English. I am going to visit my family. I want to finish a project. This habit teaches your brain how to express future ideas naturally. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Another benefit of describing your daily life is confidence. Many learners struggle because they do not know what to talk about. When you use your own life as the topic, that problem disappears. You already know your experiences, You already know your plans. You already know your opinions. You do not need to invent topics. You simply need to describe what is already happening around you. This makes speaking feel much less stressful. Another important lesson is that consistency matters more than complexity. Some learners practice difficult English once in a while. Others practice simple English every day. The second approach often produces better results. Why? Because language improves through repetition. The more often you use English, the stronger your skills become. A few minutes every day can be more valuable than hours of practice once a week. Imagine two learners. The first learner waits for perfect speaking opportunities. The second learner describes daily activities in English every day. After several months, who is likely to feel more comfortable speaking? Usually the second learner, because they have spent much more time actively using English. They have built a habit, and habits create fluency. Another reason this method is effective is that it improves vocabulary naturally. When you talk about your daily routine, you repeatedly use useful words. Words related to food, work, travel, family, health, daily activities. These are exactly the kinds of words that appear in real conversations. The more often you use them, the more easily you remember them. And the more easily you remember them, the more confidently you speak. Remember, you do not need complicated topics to practice English. Your daily life is enough. Your routine is enough. Your experiences are enough. Every day provides countless opportunities to speak. Describe what you see. Describe what you do. Describe what you think. Describe what you plan. Because every sentence you speak strengthens your fluency. Every description improves your confidence. And every day of practice brings you closer to becoming a natural English speaker. The more you talk about your daily life in English, the more English becomes part of your daily life. And that is one of the biggest secrets to speaking English every day. Lesson 4. Use simple English every day. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is believing they need advanced English to sound confident. They think they must know difficult vocabulary. They think they must create long, complicated sentences. They think they must speak like a native speaker before they can have real conversations. Because of this belief, many learners stop themselves from speaking. They spend so much time searching for perfect words that they never actually use the English they already know. The truth is very different. Simple English is powerful. In fact, some of the best communicators in the world use simple language. Their goal is not to sound complicated. Their goal is to be understood. And that should be your goal too. Think about a child learning to speak. A child does not begin with advanced vocabulary. A child begins with simple words and simple sentences. Step by step, those simple sentences become longer and stronger. English learners follow the same path. Fluency grows from simple English used consistently. Many learners know far more English than they realize. The problem is that they underestimate the value of simple language. For example, imagine someone asks, "How was your day?" You do not need a complicated answer. You can simply say, "My day was good. I was busy today. I spent time with my family." These sentences are simple, but they communicate clearly. That is what matters. Communication is always more important than complexity. Another reason simple English is powerful is that it reduces stress. When learners try to use difficult vocabulary all the time, they often become nervous. They worry about choosing the wrong word. They worry about pronunciation. They worry about grammar. As a result, speaking becomes stressful. Simple English removes much of that pressure. You focus on expressing ideas instead of impressing people. And when pressure decreases, confidence increases. Another important truth is that fluency comes from repetition. The words you use most often become the words you remember best. If you regularly use simple English, those words become automatic. You stop searching for them. You stop translating them. They come naturally. This is exactly what fluency looks like. Fluent speakers are not constantly searching for every word. Many common expressions come to them automatically because they have used them many times. You can build the same skill through daily practice. Think about learning to drive. At first, every action requires attention. But after enough repetition, many actions become automatic. Speaking English works the same way. Simple language used repeatedly becomes natural. Another benefit of simple English is that it helps you speak more often. Many learners stay silent because they think their English is not advanced enough. But if you allow yourself to use simple language, speaking becomes much easier. You stop waiting for perfect vocabulary. You stop waiting for perfect grammar. You start communicating. And communication creates improvement. Imagine two learners. The first learner waits until they know advanced English before speaking. The second learner uses simple English every day. After several months, who is likely to become more fluent? Usually the second learner, because they are actively using the language. Language grows through use, not through waiting, not through fear, not through perfectionism, but through action. Another powerful lesson is that simple English works in real life. Many daily conversations use common words and simple structures. People talk about work, food, family, plans, hobbies, daily experiences. You do not need difficult vocabulary for most of these conversations. You need clear communication. And clear communication often comes from simple language. This realization can be incredibly freeing. You do not need to know every word in the dictionary. You do not need to sound like a university professor. You simply need to express your ideas clearly. Another reason to use simple English is that it builds confidence. Every successful conversation becomes evidence that you can communicate. Every time someone understands you, your confidence grows. Every time you express an idea successfully, your fear becomes smaller. Those positive experiences are important. They motivate you to keep practicing. And practice is what creates fluency. Remember, simple English is not weak English. Simple English is useful English. Simple English is practical English. Simple English is the foundation of confident communication. So stop waiting until your English becomes perfect. Stop waiting until you know every grammar rule. Stop waiting until your vocabulary becomes huge. Use the English you already know. Use it every day. Use it with confidence. Speak about your life. Speak about your experiences. Speak about your goals. Because every sentence you speak is helping you improve. And every day you use English is bringing you closer to fluency. The secret is not using the most difficult words. The secret is using English consistently. And simple English is often the best place to start. Lesson 6. Stay consistent and never stop speaking. The final secret to speaking English every day is consistency. Many learners start with excitement. They practice for a few days or a few weeks. Then life becomes busy, motivation disappears, and they stop. The problem is not a lack of ability. The problem is a lack of consistency. Remember, fluency is not built in a single day. It is built through small daily efforts repeated over time. Even if you only speak English for 10 minutes a day, those minutes add up. Over weeks and months, they create real improvement. Some days your English will feel strong. Some days it will feel difficult. That is completely normal. Do not judge your progress based on one day. Focus on the habit. Focus on showing up. Focus on continuing. Another important lesson is to stop making excuses. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need perfect pronunciation. You do not need perfect conditions. You simply need to use the English you already know. Every sentence matters. Every conversation matters. Every day of practice matters. The learners who become fluent are not always the most talented. They are often the most consistent. So keep speaking. Keep practicing. Keep learning. And never stop using English. Because the more English becomes part of your daily life, the more natural and confident your speaking will become. One day you will look back and realize that speaking English is no longer something you practice. It is simply something you do. Remember, fluency is not built by speaking English once in a while. Fluency is built by speaking English every day. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need perfect pronunciation. You simply need the courage to practice consistently. Speak a little every day. Use the English you already know. Keep learning, keep improving, and keep moving forward. Small daily practice can create extraordinary results over time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.